Here we go with block 1 for the whisper version of Above the Below. I have all of my pieces and parts cut, stitched, um, trimmed up, and ready to go. I prefer to lay them out on my little sewing table in the order that they go in, and then I just piece from there. So this is block 1, and I'm just going to reference my pattern and lay them out as they are in the graphic. And then I do all of these things the exact same way. So I just take out the third column and set it aside in order. And then I pin 1 and 2 in each of the rows and then start stitching from there. And since there's only one block for block 1, this one goes pretty quick. And because I like to chain piece, I go ahead and snip off the first one and pin block 3 to my top row and start over again. The only downside of chain piecing is when you screw up and lay stuff out in the wrong order and then have to unpick not just once, but however many times you stitched it together, which um, I absolutely did in block 2. So you get to see me completely mess up my own pattern, which yeah, I've been known to do that a time or two. So I got to take it out not once, not twice, but 3 times. Here, normally, if there were more than one block, because this top row and bottom row are pieced exactly the same, it's just rotated 180 degrees, I would probably stitch all of those together at the same time instead of doing it like I do here. If I was doing 4 of each block, I would have just laid them out and pieced them all. And then when I pressed them uh, appropriately for nesting with the center row. But since it was only one block, I just went ahead and did it like this. And then I'm going to snip these apart and I'm going to get them pressed. And I have my center row, my top row, and my bottom row. Just going to nest my seams, pin, and stitch together. Now I know that this is not a unique thing, but you see that little blue piece of fabric that I have. I use little bits of leftover binding and use them as sort of page breaks. I know Bonnie Hunter calls them leaders and enders, but that has always, to me, implied that I was going to do something deeply impressive with them, and that never happens. So I just call them page breaks and I reuse whatever I've got so that I can kind of put a break in between blocks or whatever if I'm stitching lots of stuff together at the same time. And I have my last row, and then I will get this block pressed and we will move on to block 2, where I absolutely screwed up, and you get to see how bad I screwed up. And here we have the final block 1. And now here's my pieces and parts all squared up and ready to go for block 2. So I'm going to do the same thing I did with block 1. I'm going to use my extension table and just lay the parts out in the 9 patch that they're being stitched down. I am going to refer to my fabric planner so that I can look at the swatches, because some of these SKUs look pretty similar. So I want to make sure that I've got the right fabrics in the right place, and so I find that pretty handy. And again, I'm referring to the graphic on my pattern for block 2. And as soon as I figure out which fabrics are which, I'm going to move the fabric planner and get them laid out, and you will get to see my first mistake, which happens. You'll see that I'm just stacking up all 4 because I need 4 of these blocks. So I'm stacking up all 4 pieces and putting them where they need to go. So I'm going to wind up just stitching the same piece in a row. And then, for example, I'll pick block 1 and 2 from row 1. Oops, and there is the mistake. Can you spot it yet? And I'm obviously moving wholeheartedly forward because this is the part that I wasn't planning to refilm. I have some bloopers at the end. If you want to stick around, you can see me speed race through fixing this one error, that not only did I make one error, but I made 2 errors, or 3. I don't remember. I had to take it out a couple of times, so I had to restitch it either 3 or possibly 4 times. I don't remember. After this, I put this away for the day. I did not continue on to other blocks. I don't know about you, but I have a personal rule. If I screw something up 3 times, that project has to be put in timeout for a little bit, and so that is what happened here. I am getting a little lazy. Sometimes I just minimal pin, and I usually minimal pin on the end opposite from whichever end I'm going to start stitching on the block, just to keep those pieces kind of together. And with full confidence, I am pinning these wrong. Clearly, I needed to pay way more attention to my own instructions because I missed it. And fun fact, I am recording this voiceover in between passes from the F-16s that live next door. I hadn't really given it too much of a thought because they don't necessarily show up when I'm on the phone, but apparently they get caught and picked up on the mic for this video editing. So good times. And now on to chain piecing. Again, it's a great technique and strategy as long as you do it right. But man, does it crush your soul when you do it wrong and have to unpick not one, not two, but as many blocks as you stitch together wrong. We're going to speed through the rest of this. So I'm snipping them all apart so that I can go ahead and add block 3 in each of the rows. And here I go with that. I flipped them over so that they're in the right order. So I'm doing row one first and just double checking my orientation. And same thing, just pinning one end. And so we'll speed through this as well. And coming to the end of the line, putting a page break in there, and I'm going to pull out my little razor thing to cut my stuff apart. I don't know why I didn't do this with the previous thing, but whatever. Apparently, sometimes I like to make my life harder than it needs to be. But I do love this little tool for chain piecing because I've been known to snip my fingers with scissors and snips. So I'm going to go get these pressed, and here you get to see the corrected version. If you figured it out, great for you. Um, it took me a number of times because I stitched this together what I thought was correct, but I had my triangle and a square upside down. So I fixed the half square triangles, but still managed to have it wrong. So I took these apart a couple of times. Um, Sometimes I find with the digital print fabrics, they can get a little uh, messy and frayed if you have to unpick and whatnot. So when I pressed these, I just hit them with some best press to get them to kind of firm back up and eliminate some of the issues. So I am going to stitch these together correctly this time and get them put into the block, which we will see momentarily. I thought I was doing so well when I started this project. Didn't realize I was recording myself being foolish. That's okay though. I think it happens to everybody. I mean, are you really quilting if you don't have to unpick a seam or two? And here we go. Gonna snip apart my 4 rows. Get the last block on each of them. And it never ceases to amaze me how I become all thumbs when I'm like super tired of and just trying to get something done. I manage to not be able to work my fingers anymore. You can tell I'm annoyed because I didn't even bother to pin this. I'm sure I'll have some mismatched seams at some point, but if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm kind of a lazy piecer, so my points are almost never perfect. Um, my seams are almost never perfect, but I quilt my own stuff, so my long armor can't yell at me. I just get to kick myself in the butt while I'm working on the quilting part of it because I'm the one who did it. And let's get these pressed and try again. Third time's the charm, fourth time, whatever. There we go. Finally done right. And as we did before, we're just going to pin the top row to the middle row and go ahead and get those stitched up. And we're just running right through this. And if you caught that there were a few extra pins in that, sometimes if you have some loose fabric, oop, and there's your final block too. If you have some extra like loose fabric, put that next to your um, feed dogs and it'll feed it in more evenly. And now you get to see my bloopers. I put these in at like 30 times the speed for you for your enjoyment. If only it was that fast in real life, that would have been great. But alas, it was not. Here's me unpicking because isn't that fun? Just what everybody wants to do. Yep. And here's me doing it wrong again because my triangle and a square was in the wrong spot. And here's me unpicking again. Anyways, hope you enjoyed.